Greetings and salutations, old friends and hopefully some new friends. We are once again broadcasting live from the Apocalypse Cabin, and we are continuing our series on free energy, both free energy devices and the characters in that subculture who have created some of these so-called free energy devices. For those that are unaware, all over the world, there are hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of experimenters, tinkerers, and dreamers attempting to create a machine that can create free energy. Most of these machines involve magnets or crystals. Uh, all of them rely on what most would call fringe science. I studied many of these devices, having a fascination with electronics and electricity from a young age. I was that kind of kid that was building AM/FM radios and playing with electronics parts that I would basically steal out of stuff I picked out of the trash. Yeah, I was that kid. Like if there was a broken TV when I was a kid near my house, I would carry it home. And then I would get a desoldering bulb and iron out and pull any useful components out of it. Capacitors, resistors. I would pull chips out of these things and try to figure out what the chips did, having no idea, really. But most of my life, I have been involved. Later, I got into computers, of course, and my point being that I was just an early experimenter, I guess, with electronics and electricity in general, something that's always fascinated me. So when I found or discovered that people were trying to create energy from nothing, or from magnets, or from crystals, this fascinated me. And for a time, I experimented with these things myself, never finding much success, but I suppose learning some things along the way. So far, we have covered Victor Schauberger's Repulsion engine, which was reported to be both a UFO propulsion device and a free energy device. But sadly, the proof that the thing actually worked is not to be found. Next, we covered John Searle and the SEG, the Searle effect generator. Which was another device, coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, which was supposed to be both a propulsion device and a free energy device using magnets and rollers and coils. The proof for the Searle effect generator, after 50 years of him making pretty remarkable claims, pretty out there claims about its capabilities and what it could do, is still not yet to be found. No one can show anyone a working model. And if you were to search on YouTube, you would find hundreds, maybe thousands of videos on people trying to replicate the Searle effect generator. Likewise, tonight, our subject is Joseph Newman and the Newman motor or Newman engine. And again, if you search YouTube, you will find hundreds, maybe thousands of people trying to build Mr. Newman, Joseph Newman's Newman motor to create their own free energy source. The Newman motor is perhaps my favorite because some people have claimed to make it work. Not only that, but Mr. Newman was probably the only person who has ever created a free energy device that literally took on the US Patent Office. He spent, I believe I've heard, hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting the US Patent Office, trying to prove to them that the machine indeed worked. There is an amazing documentary about this man, which I highly recommend to anybody interested at all in this subject. And that documentary is simply called Newman. But before I'm going to share the trailer from that film. It's on both Netflix, Hulu, a few other sites, and also you can watch it for free with ads on YouTube. Just look up Newman, Newman, the film. So a bit more about Mr. Joseph Newman. I'm just going to be reading from the Wikipedia article. Joseph Newman was born July 2nd, 1936, and died March 6, 2015. He was an American inventor and author who claimed to have developed an energy machine deemed by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office to be a perpetual motion machine. He described this device in a book, The Energy Machine of Joseph Newman. Newman alleged that he had a mechanical explanation for Albert Einstein's unified field theory of physics. After applying for patents on the perpetual motion motor, he battled for over 7 years against what he claimed was a government conspiracy to suppress his supposed discoveries, garnering national attention as a result. Mr. Newman, besides being a prolific inventor, it should be noted that he actually invented many different things before the motor and was quite, some would say, he had a lot of money from real inventions and patents that he held. But he spent the bulk of his life after these initial inventions and making a lot of money, concentrating almost solely on his Newman motor, this device. After Newman graduated from Baker High School in Mobile, Alabama, he joined the U.S. Air Force in 1955 to serve as an expediter and was stationed at Ramey Air Force Base in Puerto Rico, where he witnessed Hurricane Betsy devastate the island in 1956. The aftermath of that hurricane prompted Newman to make a pledge to God that he would devote the rest of his life to help humanity. And I have to say, Joseph Newman was an interesting character, and he truly, I believe that he believed this thing worked and could change the world, and he wanted to give it to the world. Newman attended the University of Alabama, enrolling in economics and accounting courses. He left college after acquiring interest in inventing, and not long after was awarded patents for the first plastic barbells. If you've ever seen a workout set where the barbells were made of plastic and filled with either water or sand, that was a Joseph Newman invention. After selling his barbell business, he had capital to buy science books and began to study energy, electrical engineering, physics, and electromagnets. It's interesting to note that Joseph Newman, like many of these characters, was mostly a self-taught electronics person. He did not have formal training in either electronics, physics, or electromagnetics. Okay, so Joseph Newman applied for a patent on his energy machine first in 1979, and it was rejected by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office as a perpetual motion machine. Just a side note for those that are not aware, if you try to patent a perpetual motion machine, or what the U.S. Patent Office terms or claims or decides is a perpetual motion machine, you won't get it because obviously the laws of physics make perpetual motion machines impossible according to standard science. So from 1979 to 1986, he filed numerous lawsuits against the Patent Office to force the award of the patent. The Federal District Court ordered the machine turned over to the National Bureau of Standards for testing. The NBS also admitted the order to test was unusual, saying it's very unusual for us to be testing something for a patent. And yes, for those that don't know, there are an incredible amount of patents that people have been awarded, from anti-gravity devices to free energy devices to all kinds of machines. And the patent office never asks for proof that it works. They just see if it's already been patented and generally issue you a patent. This is some of the basically fuckery that we're seeing from idiots like David Wilcock, promoting that the free energy patents and the UFO propulsion system patents of that gentleman from the Navy, claiming they're real. No. You don't have to prove that your anti-gravity device really works to be issued a patent. But in the case of Joseph Newman, it was extremely unusual that they said, okay, well, we have to have this machine tested by the National Standards Institute. So the federal district court ordered the machine turned over to the National Bureau of Standards for testing. It's very unusual for us to be testing something for a patent, Matthew Heyman, the Bureau spokesman, said. I'm not aware of us ever having been involved in a patent case before. So this broke new ground, Newman's machine. Newman persuaded 7 members of Congress to sponsor private bills on his behalf that would order the patent office to grant him a patent. And again, for those unaware, unless you've got a ton of money, you can't even get 7 members of Congress to speak to you. So I have a feeling that he put out a huge amount of money to get the support of these congressmen. And he wanted them to force the patent office to give him a patent. The NBS eventually concluded that Newman's machine did not reach or exceed 100% efficiency as Newman claimed, and declared the patent was unrewardable. And there was a lot of controversy surrounding the testing. According to Mr. Newman, they did not run the machine correctly so that it could be tested. It's also important to note that unlike a lot of free energy crackpots making ridiculous claims, there was an incredible amount of well-known scientists, physicists, electronics engineers that were 100% behind Mr. Newman's machine as saying that it worked. Throughout his life, he would if somebody was an electrical engineer, he would let them right into his shop, show them the machine working, let them get their test equipment out, and prove to a lot of scientists' satisfaction that the machine indeed worked. This, my friends, is what is so incredibly tantalizing to me about Mr. Newman, as opposed to many of these other less than scrupulous individuals. Mr. Newman had a bunch of scientists on his side that said, I don't understand why it works, but I got my test equipment out and this machine works. In 1989, Newman claimed, while already married, to have married his secretary and her 8-year-old daughter, acting on orders from God. The daughter was removed from his home by the authorities. In 1987, he announced a run for the American presidency, claiming that God had instructed him to run in order that the extinction in humanity by 1999 might be averted, and that Nostradamus had predicted his existence. Yes, strange. So then the documentary, John Fox directed a 2015 documentary film about Newman entitled simply Newman. It provides background on Newman's childhood, his struggles to obtain a patent, and the interviews with Newman in 2014, shortly before his death. So Mr. Newman was quite an interesting character. I highly recommend this film. We are going to play the trailer for the film. We're going to cite fair use. I'm encouraging people to view the film. I think it's one of the best documentaries I've seen in years. I highly recommend it. And we have a bunch of comments from the live chat. We're only going to have a very short presentation tonight, and then I will definitely devote some attention to the live chat. Let's just get through a few things here. I want to share the trailer for the film. Okay. All right. And again, fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about free energy devices and some of their inventors, including the subject of our show tonight, Mr. Joseph Newman. So this is the trailer for the Newman film. Let me see. We can't get this thing working.
Machine runs on its own energy.
Oh, 1 second, friends. Why am I having issues with this? Okay. Let's try and back that up. Sorry about that, friends. I have no tab. Why don't I have a tab? All right, we're just going to play it small. That's fine. Or I can big it now. There. Yeah, so as we could see, he was a pretty interesting character. I think, like, first of all, he was very intelligent, very well spoken, and very charismatic. He knew how to work a room. When the patent office refused to give him a patent, he held press conferences. Hundreds of people showed up, and he ripped the United States government a new asshole, and people cheered him on for doing that. A lot of people are distrustful of the government, think the government is corrupt. Joseph Newman pushed the American government like no other inventor ever had. To his dying day, he swore that the machine worked. And it's kind of a sad ending to his story, because in the documentary we see he basically had a version of the machine in a public storage garage. And he would bring people to the public storage garage. Small groups of people would show up to see him demonstrate the machine work. At the end of the documentary, we see that he found some investors that wanted to make the machine. And he was somewhat paranoid that people were trying to steal his invention and this and that. And if you watch the film, it's kind of a sad ending for such a charismatic and interesting character. I was sad to hear that he died. I didn't know that he died. I had followed the Newman motor years ago. And my father once showed me a Popular Science article. My father was real big into science and aviation. And there was an article on Joseph Newman and the Newman motor in an issue of Popular Science, or maybe it was Popular Mechanics. A little foggy on the details. That was 20 years ago. That's when I first started reading about it, looking into it. I have read his book. I've never tried to duplicate the machine myself. Someday, I hope that I will. I have just a few more things to share. I wanted to, just for historical significance, there's a clip that shows, he was basically on national media at the time, including Johnny Carson's show. And I think that's worthy of sharing. We're going to, again, cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about these free energy devices and the characters who invent them, like tonight's subject, Mr. Joseph Newman. Okay, 1 second, friends. Again, this is fair use. All right, and this clip is a bunch of different clips from basically Mr. Newman's history, and I thought it's interesting and historically significant.
Because of your theory, several laws of physics may need to be re-examined. And then Dr. E.L. Moraine, one of the men involved in the making of the atomic bomb, wrote, "Your project will lead to developments that would be beneficial to all mankind."
And Joseph Newman's work has been featured on national television and in hundreds of newspapers and magazines throughout the country.
He was good at getting publicity.
What's the answer to the energy crisis? Suppose a fellow told you the answer was in a machine he has developed. Before you scoff, take a look with Bruce Hall.
In the backwoods of Mississippi, a mile down this dirt road, past the keep out and no trespassing signs, is the workshop of Joe Newman, a brilliant, self-educated inventor who says he has developed a machine that could solve the energy crisis.
Now back to Take Two on CNN.
What if someone invented a machine that would make the gasoline engine obsolete? What if someone invented a machine that produced more energy than it used? And that energy is cheap, non-polluting, and safe. That person would probably be hailed as the greatest scientist since Einstein, with a discovery as important as electricity and as revolutionary as the wheel. Joseph Wesley Newman claims to have invented just such a machine. He says that his energy machine could power every American home, farm, business, automobile, and appliance with electricity at a fraction of the present cost. More than 30 scientists and technicians have tested the energy machine, and they agree it works.
Well, 30 scientists.
First of all, if you can tell stupid people like me as sort of how this machine works.
Okay, Dave, it's basically is that you're not creating anything. You're simply utilizing energy that prior to this time hasn't been understood. It took us several thousand years to ever put a water wheel in moving water. And basically what I'm doing is utilizing the energy in the magnetic field that consists of matter in motion, exactly like a moving river does.
We are back. Well, would you welcome, please?
Here's the Johnny Carson. Again, fair use. Johnny Carson, don't copyright strike me.
Nice to meet you.
I appreciate you having me.
Do you think your machine, if it can be commercially made available, can, for example, a person would buy a 300 or 400 pound unit and all of a sudden would be able to produce all of the energy they need for their home? Is that certainly within the realm of possibility?
Exactly. I have absolutely no doubt about it. That such a device hooked to a home, a person will never have to pay for energy again. The device will be made small as to put in an automobile, plane, spacecraft, you name it. This device.
Using the atoms from the magnetic field.
And what you're doing is that you're converting mass into energy on a 100% conversion process. That's one of the first prototypes, and that's a 700-pound magnetic rotor, and it's got about 8,000 pounds of wire around it. That's gone down. That unit there weighs 135 pounds, and they showed that at the Hilton in New Orleans. There was approximately 2,500 people attended, 1,000 people outside, another 1,500 standing to get in. And it would demonstrate something like 25 times more out than externally inputted into the system.
You get more wattage out of that than
what you'd put in. In fact, Railback Battery Company is working with me now trying to design a battery to hold up to this recharging effect of this system. Because not only will it run the device, it'll put more energy back into the battery pack than came out of it.
So you could, that's fascinating. Tell you what, we could stay here all night.
But there's a major stumbling block in getting this device to the public. The inventor can't let private industry have the machine until the patent is granted, but obtaining the patent seems to be almost impossible. Examples. December 1981, following the patent application, Joe Newman calls the patent office to talk with an examiner. He is told they don't want to talk to him. Newman protests to his congressman, and a meeting between the inventor and patent officers is arranged in Washington. But on January 6, 1982, Joe Newman receives a letter that says his patent has been totally denied. A hidden energy device is suspected. But the scheduled meeting on January 27th is held nevertheless, at which time the examiner told Mr. Newman,
I don't think I'll ever be able to give you a patent, no matter what evidence you present to me.
The reason for that statement? Patent examiners felt that what Joe Newman claimed was impossible. On March 13th, after more protests from the inventor, another meeting was convened. This time, he was told they believed there was no hidden energy device and added that they actually believed the machine worked. But now, they feel his technical description of his invention is inadequate.
And then I asked him a second time, in fact. I said, you're saying that you agree that the energy out is greater than the energy in? He said, Mr. Newman, you say that it does. We looked at the facts. We believe you.
Mr. Newman then protested to the Patent Office's Board of Appeals. A meeting is set for September 30th, 1982. Incredibly, at that meeting, Joe Newman is told the description of his invention is now adequate, but...
Then they went back and started saying, we don't think that the device is now operable. Now, and also at the time of this meeting, they gave me 2 minutes at the very end of the discussion that they allowed me to get up and try to discuss at that time it was 17 years of work.
Yeah, so Mr. Newman fought the patent office for at least 7 years. Some say more, because he continued even after being denied completely, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers, testing equipment to try to prove that the machine worked. The patent office continually rebuffed his attempts.
In 2 minutes.
So in little less than a year, the U.S. Patent Office has told the man who just may have an amazing machine, number one, they didn't want to talk with him. Number two, they will never give him a patent. Number three, the invention has a hidden energy device. Number four, there is no hidden energy device. Your invention works, but your description of the invention is inadequate. And finally, your description is adequate. Your invention does not work. And now 31 people with scientific backgrounds have signed legal documents swearing to the machine's validity.
Yeah, so there we go, friends. I wasn't aware of the number. Apparently, he had 31 different scientists that were willing to put their own reputations on the line, saying that the machine actually worked. And I think it's very interesting that the patent office kept coming up with different stories. First, they admitted the machine worked, but his technical description of how it worked was inadequate. Then they said, okay, your technical description is adequate, but we don't believe the machine works. The patent office claimed at one point that he was using some kind of hidden device to produce the effects. They never proved that. To this day, they've never proven that he was hiding something inside the machine. They had versions of the machine available to test for them. And if they had a version of the machine, they should be able to find, if he's using some sort of trickery, right? They never did. I have just one more thing to share, and this is kind of a longer video, but we're going to share some of this. Again, citing fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about Mr. Joseph Newman and free energy devices. This is a later video, so we get to see him later in his life. I believe this is taken at the public. He literally had the machine stored in a public storage warehouse where he would go and work on it, demonstrate it to people. Again, citing fair use. 1 second, friends. And this video is titled Joseph Newman Perpetual Motion Proved. Yeah, so the remarkable fact is at the end of each test run, the batteries all had higher voltage than they did at the beginning of the run. And Mr. Newman's machine would commonly be called an over-unity device, meaning he did have to input a certain amount of power to it, but he claimed that the machine put out 125% of the power inputted to it. In other words, if he put 1 amp into the machine, he would get out 1.25 amps, and the additional 25% would be the free energy.
I'm Joseph Newman. And what you're fixing to see is something that has been taught to be totally impossible by all technical people around the world. Because what you're going to see is that we're going to run Big Eureka. We're going to hook it to these batteries. We're going to run Big Eureka. Big Eureka is going to run this generator that is behind us. And it weighs 500 pounds. And it's going to be recharging these batteries while we do this. Now, there was a gentleman who came in here who's a friend of Jed's, named Rick Boggs, who's put in air conditioners and et cetera, all his life on big motors and et cetera. Well, he saw this little white motor right here, sitting on this thing, and immediately, without me saying a word, he came over and picked it up and he said, "This motor right here is highly efficient. It is highly efficient." He said, "I've used them. They're highly efficient. Now, you get them from Granger." Now, we're going to run, it made me realize, well, this is a good way to run a test. And let me ask everybody out there, you see how small this motor is? We're going to take one of these batteries out of this line and hook it to this little tiny motor right here and let it run. Now we have all of these batteries, the rest of these, we have 10 batteries. We're going to remove one of them and leave 9 that we're going to run Big Eureka with. But these batteries are in series, and when you put batteries in series, the current is equivalent to what's in one battery. Big Eureka is going to make this motor look totally ridiculous, totally opposite of what that gentleman said when he picked it up and how efficient this motor was, because it has no load on it. We have that generator.
Thank you, Six's Design.
And we're going to be recharging these batteries while we run Big Eureka. All right, we're going to hook up this little one now. Now we've been running that one. That has no load on it. If it was pumping out water, it'd be drawing 10 amps. But it's already dying. Yeah, if it slows down, you'll hear that. We're going to have to baby this thing, I can tell. It's still running because I can hear it. This battery will probably get hot by the time the hour is over. These batteries will be cool. Now you can watch the speed of that and see that it doesn't change. It just keeps right on trucking. And this motor is smoking.
It's not just hot, there's smoke coming out of it.
All right, so we're going to stop it.
It's been moving out for 51 minutes.
It's been running for 51 minutes. We're going to let this motor, our motor, keep running. All right, now I'll check this battery voltage real quick.
So then it's just this motor that was
Smoke.
causing the smoke.
That's correct.
Okay. Bad motor.
All right, somebody call out this when I hit this battery.
You see that on your camera, Jim? I can see it, yes. What's our voltage on that battery?
11.4.
We're going to fast forward.
Running a generator, and that generator is going to recharge these batteries at the same time it runs this machine. That's thought to be totally impossible. We're summing up what we did on that test. We had perpetual motion, so you'll understand it. Now, we took the first battery, and we ran that little white motor, and it fell really 5/10, in that length of time. Now, I'm going to draw an arrow over here. I put it in red because it means we're losing money. That's why I put it in red. Now, I'm going to show what it was when we finished. It was 11.4. Now, when we started, though, it was way over here at 11.81. That's where we started, 11.81. We didn't even get to an hour. We got to 159, and it started smoking, and we disconnected it. All right, now we take the other batteries that we ran Big Eureka. It weighed 7,500 pounds. The Granger catalog shows you that motor ought to be drawing some portion of 600, better than 600 amps, based on their information, and they claim to be the best in the world. All right, now look what happened. We started off, and I give it the highest number, 11.7. And we go to 11,770 an hour later. On this battery, it goes to 12 volts. This battery here is 11.7. This is 11.74 an hour later. This is 11.7. It's 11.73 an hour later. Clearly showing everyone. In that length of an hour, well, this little battery the motor got so hot you couldn't hardly touch it. And it started smoking. This big motor doesn't even get warm at all. Now, what you see is something that defies everything that's put out by the so-called learned people of the world. This is perpetual motion because you cannot do it. Take another 7,500 pound motor and let me see you run it. Off of that, and the battery voltage will not fall. It'll rise. Now, what you're seeing here, if you look at this, you got a chart made by Dr. Swimmer. This shows you something that you won't see on any graph on electrical motors of conventional motor. But look at this. It rises. All these turns has never been seen before on the conventional electrical motor. It's always linear in a straight line. This is perpetual motion, and we will make it change this world. Thank you.
So that's Mr. Newman himself proving that the machine, after running for an hour, raised the voltage of the battery bank, not lowered it, which is basically his essential claim, is that the machine would output more power than it would input. So, friends, I will turn my total attention to the live chat. We're going to take questions, comments, and also, one second, friends. Yeah, so that will conclude our presentation on Mr. Joseph Newman. I highly recommend you watch this Newman documentary if you're interested in this sort of subject matter, and especially this. He was an interesting character. You gotta love a guy that takes on the United States government and says, no, really, my machine works, I deserve a patent. someone in the live chat mentioned earlier, and this is the sad part of his story. Towards the end of his life, Mr. Newman was involved with a bunch of different people that were attempting to help him once again bring the machine to the world. He got some business investors, and as talked about in the documentary, the business investor wanted to make an air conditioner that would run from the free power. So put an air conditioner together with a small version of his device so that you could have free air conditioning. And there was a few others. Mr. Newman became very angry and agitated, claiming that people were trying to steal his invention away and he was going to do it his way. And so the investors sort of balked. Like, he went nuts on them, yelled and screamed at them, claimed they were trying to steal his invention away from him and he was going to do it his way. So by all accounts, to those closest to him at the end of his life, he had become increasingly angry, agitated, and paranoid that people were all trying to steal his invention. This huge machine in a public storage, shortly before his death, he went there and disassembled the entire machine. But as luck would have it, we have a book that he wrote detailing exactly how to reproduce the machine. And if you search on YouTube, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people trying to recreate the device and show that it works. And thanks. Six Design is in the live chat giving the link to the Newman documentary. You can watch it on YouTube entirely free. You just got to watch some ads, but don't we all? Anytime we watch anything on YouTube. And has anybody else noticed that the ads on YouTube have gotten crazy? Like, it used to be like one ad before a video would play a short video. Now it's two. And I don't know if it's YouTube creators doing this but it seems like in the middle of the video, there's two. At the beginning of this video, there's two. 3/4 of the way through, there's two. The ads are getting crazy on YouTube. There's so many of them. Okay. What's his story, Steve Ronan? You're going to have to rewind and you can hear, my version of his story. Hi, Steve Ronan. Good to see you. Six Design says about the documentary, 127 million views. Well worth the watch. Yeah, I think it's an incredible, this story is just a great story, which is why I wanted to cover it here and include Mr. Newman in our series on free energy devices. Missy Calvi says, Newman does seem more legit than that guy Searle, since he wasn't stealing the electricity, at least to my knowledge. No, to my knowledge, Mr. Newman has never been convicted of stealing electricity from the power company. Brent says, what are you waiting for? I'm waiting for the time, the money, and the passion, really, to recreate this thing. Yeah. Rodrigo Vieira is here and says, good evening, Stephen and Chatverse. Yeah, I'm thankful that you're all here today. Seems like every time I take a few days off of streaming, the numbers go from 50 watching to 20 watching. It is what it is. I guess the universe is trying to tell me that I have to do a show every single day. And I would like to try to do that. I would also like to sort of get back to a regular schedule, but I'm having such a hard time doing that I just have to say I can do a show tonight. And yeah. Joseph Prisco says, run the power in your cabin with it. That's one of my interests in these free energy devices. If I could run my whole cabin with one of these devices, I would love it. Brent in the Facebook comments says, I believe you can do it. Yeah, thanks, Brent. Maybe I can do it. I don't know. Someday I may try to build it. I spent a long time, though, working on crystal batteries, which we're going to be covering next or soon. I'm trying to dig my crystal batteries out of the garage and get them working again so that I can demonstrate. And Joseph Prisco is here, is a kind of an old friend of mine into computers, would argue with me about why crystal batteries are bullshit. And I would say, no, this thing's been lighting an LED for a year in my shop on no power. So Dennis Coach is here. Shout out to Dennis Coach. And he asked, where do you stand on John Hutchensen? Where I stand on John Hutchensen is that he's been caught faking things floating. and pretending that he had anti-gravity going on in his shop when in fact there was things on wires, which makes me extremely suspect. And also the so-called Hutchensen effect, he himself has never been able to recreate and show people. I think that he used a camera upside down to produce those effects. That's just my take on it. I could be wrong, and we're probably going to cover the Hutchensen effect here at some point on our show. Dominic says, I'm doubtful Newman is less of a con man than the others. Yeah, you may be right. Truthseekers, have you looked into wood gas for the cabin? No, but I have watched a lot of videos of people running their cars off of wood gas, which is interesting. An interesting form of energy, but I've never done any experiments into that. I think you are so talented to be able to build your own place like that, and you're great on the tech side too. Yeah, honestly, Steve Ronan, I'm much more comfortable on the tech side of things than building this cabin was not in my wheelhouse. I'm not like a carpenter. I'm getting good at it though. You know, I always wanted a cabin somewhere in the mountains, and really out of necessity, I learned to do this stuff because I think I've mentioned this before, but we looked for a cabin already done. You know, my wife was a little nervous that I would be able to build anything because she knows I'm kind of a klutz with, you know, power tools and things. Like I'm okay with cosmetic stuff. Like if the walls aren't falling down and I can just paint them and, you know, fix things up, I'm good at that. But to build something, not so much. So, you know, but I learned as I went. I read every book that I could find on building cabins, and I sort of had some early failures, and then I kind of caught my groove and figured out how it is that I could do this and do it well. Okay. Out of Mind is here. Shout out to Out of Mind. Says John, Karla, Knipsion, Hutchensen. Crazy as a loon. Yeah. But along with the crazy, that's where I learned about crystal batteries from Out of Mind. And if I had to pick one free energy device that I think shows the most promise, I would pick crystal batteries. But that's just my personal experience because I spent a long time building crystal batteries. And I don't know how they work, but I know they work. The problem with crystal batteries is they produce, you can make this crystal battery that's the size of like, you know, a salt shaker or something like that. And it only makes 1.1 volt and like half a mil, you know, like 20 milliamps or something. It basically produces the amount of power that's less than the amount of power that's in a AAA battery. But it does so for years. Once it's built, charged, you do input a source of power, but that's supposedly just to charge the crystals for the first time. Then you take the battery off this crystal battery, and it produces enough power with a little bit of electronics to light an LED, something called a joule thief. It produces enough power to create, to light like a little LED light bulb. But it will do so for years. There are videos of people on the internet that have made these things and shown that that LED didn't go out for 3-4 years. That's crazy to me. I didn't get to it, but I got busy with moving and things. So I had to like take apart everything in my basement shop, which was really just a pile of junk and chemicals and stuff. My plans were to try to make, you have to make the crystal batteries identical in order to gang them in either a series or parallel. I wanted to make a 12 volt crystal battery bank, and that I'm still going to do. In fact, this month I'm ordering some of the chemicals and things that you need in order to produce these things. And I may cover some of that stuff on the show here. I'm glad that there's interest in these free energy devices because it's one of my interests. And I get back and forth to it once in a while. I, you know, take some time off, and then I like to go on YouTube and check in with some of these inventors that I have been following for a few years off and on and see if they've made progress on their projects or not, things like that. Vanessa Thor is here. Oh, I like the new avatar. It says, once they are caught straight up faking and lying, I'm done. Yeah, and that's the case with Hutchensen. And the other thing with Hutchensen is it's strange. Like, in order to learn how to make these crystal batteries, which I'm telling you, they work. I don't know why they work, how they work, but they work. Very tiny amount of power, but they work. You have to sit through a video of Hutchensen in drag, pretending to be a woman, teaching you how to make. It's a famous video. It's got millions of views, I think, which is bizarro. Like, this guy in drag is going to teach me how to make free energy? Okay. But I went through and learned how to make these batteries, and yes, please follow me on Twitter. But more importantly, we're trying to get the Twitch numbers up. So if you have a Twitch account, please do visit twitch.tv/Truthseekers show. Maybe Six's Design can put that in the live chat. Or if you don't have a Twitch account, it really only takes a few minutes. We're trying to get the Twitch follower numbers up. Please do follow us on Twitch. You can watch our stream. We stream simultaneously to Facebook Live, then Twitch and YouTube all at the same time. Yes, Joseph Aprisco, crystals vibrate at specific frequencies, which is why they were used to make radios. Joseph Aprisco, I'm going to draft you. Joseph lives near my house, and we're all friends. I'm going to clean up my garage, and I'm going to get these chemicals and some copper and some magnesium. That's all you need to make these crystal batteries. And I'm going to draft you into service, and we're going to build a big, big crystal battery bank. I could use your help because you're kind of technical, and it's not rocket science. You put this much chemical and this much crystal. It's like, I think they use, I can't remember off the top of my head, but Epsom salts and some other things. Epsom salts, alum, and maybe, Epsom salts and alum, I think, is the major component of inside the crystal battery. And then you need a copper tube, which gets expensive, and magnesium rods. And we're going to make a bunch of them. And I've got some parts already, Joseph and Prisco. So if you want to get into that, I'm going to draft you into my crazy mission to create a free energy battery. I had grand plans at one point. I was going to build this thing and call it the infinity generator. I may still do that. I've gotten back into this stuff, having covered this stuff. If the Newman device works and the U.S. Patent Office won't accept it, why would they not take it to another country? Good idea. You have a gift. Brent, does that mean a PayPal donation? By the way, anybody who wishes to support me, you can either become a Patreon supporter for $1 a month. We give you a bunch of different benefits. Or from the About section on YouTube, you can just give a one-time donation. We're calling that the Not So Super Chat donations. And if you give me a PayPal donation, I do read it out, whatever you like, on the I read out. If you add a note, and please do give your chat ID. Wow, is that real? Oh no, that was from November 11th. Wow, so let me see if this person, the last donation that we shouted out was from Jonaside, November 9th, a very kind donation of $5, which we sincerely appreciate it. Every dollar helps. Okay, and wow, we had a $40 donation on the 11th that I did not shout out, and I don't want to say their name because I think this is their real name, but the initials RH. If anybody knows who gave me the $40, please let me know your chat room user ID. We had a big donation of $40. Wow, I really appreciate that. That really helps. So thank you, RH. You have my sincere thanks and gratitude for helping to support the show. And again, if you don't have a couple of bucks, it's a tough economy, which is why I'm out here begging for PayPal donations and Patreon supporters. So we do need your financial support to continue this show. Please consider a PayPal donation or becoming a Patreon supporter if you do want to see our show continue. There are links in the About section of our channel, or right on the main channel in the upper right corner. There's both a PayPal donate button and a Patreon sign up for Patreon button. Yeah, so we really do appreciate your support. This is a viewer supported show, and every dollar so far has been going back into equipment and webcams and all these different things that we need, backdrops, lights, microphones, and I really appreciate everyone's support, because I've so far been able to get an adequate and decent setup at my home studio, and now I don't have to take anything back and forth to the cabin. For a long time, I was breaking down everything at the home studio, the microphones, the stands, the webcam stands, and dragging it to the cabin, and then it sucked. It was terrible. So thank you to everybody, because the reason it was terrible is because after breaking it all down, I'd have to set it all up here and then break it down here and take it back home and set it all up. And now we don't have to do that back and forth, which has been really, really helpful. And I really do appreciate it. Also, I just wanted to mention that we're looking for potential guests. So if you have an interesting story, especially if it's about something mysterious, paranormal, fringe science, anything like that, UFOs, anything, please do email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. We're going to be booking new guests in the next week or two. I would like to mention that we're going to have Cal Korff on a return visit next week sometime. And I'm reaching out to several other people, including Cliff High. Cliff High, if you're watching, Cliff High is one of those guys experimenting with magnets and trying to create free energy. I'd like to talk to him about his experiments. He's, interesting character, Cliff High, inventor of WebBot. We've had him on our show previously. We'd like to have him again. I just keep forgetting to email him. I've asked him on Twitter. He doesn't respond to Twitter much, but if you email him, he does. So I'm going to do that. But Cliff High, if you're watching, we'd really like to have you on and we can do a general talk about these free energy devices, about magnetism, about your experiments. I definitely want to do that. And let me see here, friends. Yeah, so the other way I was mentioning, if you don't have a couple of bucks, and I understand it's a rough economy. Like I said, that's why I'm out here begging for PayPal donations and Patreon supporters. By the way, if you sign up on Patreon, you get whatever I'm working on for free. You can see behind me here. This is my version of Linux. It's called Altos, the alternative operating system. You get that free. You get, we do an audio journal every month, and the Mind Hack project, which is slowly going to be finished, I hope, in the next month. That's a almost 4 hour long audio sort of personal development system. And it's got a lot of motivational speaking and things like that in it. So if you've ever wanted me to yell at you so you get some shit done, this is you would love it. And that's going to retail, I think, at $50, we've decided. But if you're a Patreon supporter, you get it for the $1 a month. And I've been giving pieces of it away as it's come to a final product. Anything that I'm working on, the Patreon supporters get it. I also will be returning to creating some new music, and all the music will not be public until there's an actual full-length album. But I will be posting a few songs a month, starting, I believe, in December. You get that for $1 a month, and you get the sneak peek sort of backstage pass. Whatever I'm working on, I give it all away to the Patreon supporters. So yeah, you can sign up for Patreon. It's $1 a month or more. You can give me $100 a month if you really like my work, but the buy-in is only $1 a month. If I can get a few thousand people to do that, I would be in great shape. Just putting that out there to the universe, just in case the universe is listening. Now, the other way that you can support me is to please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this sort of information, if you like this sort of entertainment, you probably have some friends that would like this as well. Please send our channel address to some friends. And again, the best way to support us, if not financially, it doesn't cost a penny. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share these videos on your Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. that would really help our show out. Now I'm going to return to the live chat here. I'm way behind. Rodrigo Vieiro says quartz has piezoelectric properties. It works on guitars and watches. So, yeah, those crystal batteries are fascinating to me, Rodrigo, because it uses crystals, and we've all, and if you're into anything sort of new agey or whatever, you've always heard about the power of crystals, right? But I've never seen proof of it until these crystal batteries, which for sure use crystals, salt crystals in the form of Epsom salts, but it's crystals. Brent Musselman, wish and I want to help. Yeah, you'd be welcome to help too. Anybody that wants to come over to my house and build crystal batteries, I'm going to be doing that. Yeah, and Sixth Design has been kind enough. Sixth Design gets the Truthseekers MVP, always helping, always sharing. I just want you to know that I appreciate your help. Sixth Design is always trying to push people. Give me $1 on Patreon, posting the links, posting the fair use statement. By the way, Sixes, I have these banners here that you see at the bottom of the screen. I have to remember, right, to make a banner for the fair use statement, because that'll be easier than always saying it. Dennis Coach says you have to raise the Patreon level to $5. Yeah, I may do a second tier, but I just thought it'd be best if everybody could give us $1, because $1, you know, it's a cost of a soda at McDonald's, $1, right? You can't even get a cup of coffee for $1, but you can get all this great entertainment and all this, and know that you're helping me continue to produce it, and you're getting all those extra benefits that the regular viewers don't get to see. And yes, Sixth Design says, nice, $40, very cool. Thank you, RH. I love it, man. I was so happy to see that. I didn't even know about it. I have to get better at checking it. I just, honestly, we can go a week and nobody gives me $1 on PayPal, so I haven't been checking it. I'm going to make it a point. Every show I will check it so that I can do the shout out and thank people. Boy, they certainly have my gratitude. Every $1 helps the show. I'm already thinking about what I could get with that $40 to help the show get better, right? But there's another thing. Plans for the show. I am definitely, this month, before the end of the month, I'm upgrading our StreamYard. We're going to have 1080p, finally. All my webcams are 1080p, but at the buy-in level that we're at with StreamYard, we only get to stream at 720. The other thing that upgrading StreamYard is going to do for us is once we upgrade the StreamYard to like the gold membership or whatever it's called, we're going to be able to stream the 5 more locations. I haven't figured out which ones we're going to go to, but probably Periscope and a few others. We're going to be streaming simultaneously by the end of the month. That's my goal. We're going to be streaming to 8 places on the internet, all at the same time, which is amazing. This technology is amazing. Steve Ronan, I think you've mentioned this before. If my debit card was not broke, I'd donate, because he's so genuine. And his dirty laugh like Selma from The Simpsons. Yeah, everybody says that. I never knew that people like my laugh. I always thought it was kind of snorty and weird. Okay, question. Andrew Whitley says, Stephen Cambion, what was your first computer games console? My one was the Commodore 64. The very first computer that I ever got, my father got me, and it was a Timex Sinclair 1000. And those were worthless. They were so shitty, and they had this membrane keyboard, and it was like this big. Joseph Aprisco, if he's watching, he still has some of these Timex Sinclair 1000s. I got to buy one just so that I can remember where I came from. And it only had like 1K of memory or something. Like you could barely write a program on it. And when you were typing, like you would hit the letter T and 6 T's would come, and then you would hit the backspace and it would go back 8 spaces. At least mine. My dad bought it secondhand somewhere from a friend of his that did CB radio repair. That was my very first computer. But the first computer that I got that I felt this is actually a useful computer was a Tandy color computer. And I got introduced to OS 9, which is very much like Unix, which is probably why I love Linux still to this day. OS 9 not from Mac, but from Tandy Color Computer. It was made by Microware, let you multitask. And even on an 8-bit 1 megahertz computer, I could, for example, download games from a BBS and use a drawing program or something like that. And it was amazing. And I still have my Tandy Color computers. I'm teaching my son computers with them right now, or I plan to. Yes, and here's where you can email me. Absolutely. Jonaside says he knows a wizard who's into UFOs. Send him my way. We need new guests. We definitely need new guests. Yes, I do plan to ask him some tough questions. Biden ballot changer. I like the new name. Yes, related links to the About section. Definitely. Brent, you can help by sharing this show on your social media or by becoming a Patreon supporter for $1 or sending us some cold hard cash on PayPal. I could use $8,000 right now. Just putting that out there, Brent. I don't know how rich you are. I don't know. Out of mind, I'm not sure what you're asking, if what you're supposed to do. Stephen Ronan, enough ads. Yeah, we're gonna have a few ads here, but I promise you guys, it's never gonna go. I swear to God, there's some shows it's like there's a 2-minute ad every 5 minutes. I don't know how people watch any of that stuff. Brent, can I add a link to Facebook? Yeah, sure, definitely do that. And I don't know that I've seen you here before, Brent. I know that we're friends on Facebook, I believe, which is how you found me or seeing the live stream on Facebook. Yes, send me a message on Facebook. Joseph Aprisco mentioned magnesium sulfate, heptahydrate. Yeah, we're going to be playing with all that stuff, Joe. We're going to be mad scientists in my garage. Yeah, Jonaside, your continued support. He does Patreon, and every once in a while he sends me $5 or something, and I truly appreciate that. Longtime supporter of the show. We definitely appreciate everyone that's throwing a few bucks our way, because we're going to be expanding to 8 streaming locations soon, and I'm using the money that people are giving me. Vanessa Thor says ultrasound is basically crystal magic, ceramic crystal piezoelectrics. You're right. Actually, that's exactly, well, that's a simplified explanation, Vanessa Thor, but that is how ultrasound works. They use ceramic crystals and vibrate them, and then they sense what those waves do in your body, I think, but I think that you're right. Oh, yeah, the Timex Sinclair 1000 was also Joseph Aprisco's first computer, and it has 2K. Joseph, if you have 2 of them, I want one just to hang it up and remember how shitty my first computer was, you know? Steven and Jiggy have the best laugh. Steven sounds like the ant from The Simpsons. Oh, God, really, Vanessa Thor? Jeez. Steve Ronan had an Atari in 1990. Do you mean an Atari computer or Atari video games? We had Atari video games. That was my first video game console. Six Design says, I build my own computers, won't ever do different, cheaper, and better, and you truly get what you pay for. You know what, Six Design, the older I get, I used to build all my own PCs, but the older I get, like, I just don't want to mess with it. So my current main rig is an IBM ThinkStation, and it's got 24 cores and like 64 gigs of RAM or something crazy like that. Or maybe it's 30. No, it's 32. I took some out because it was something's not right with my workstation, and I have to figure it out. Actually, I may have Joseph Prisco come over and look at it because he's better at fixing PCs than even me. I have a large collection of Vince's computer. Yeah, Joseph Aprisco has this storage space when you walk in there, and it's like walking into 1982. He's got Intellivisions, Ataris, Odysseys, Apple IIs, Apple Ones. I think he has an Apple One. He's got so many different old computers. I was like a kid in the candy store. He's got Atari STs, Atari 8-bits, Commodore Amigas, Commodore 64s, Commodore 120. He's got everything. Brent says, yes, we need to talk. Sure. Yeah, so friends, we're going to call it a quick one tonight because I have some other things that I got to do tonight. I am cutting firewood at the cabin, and that means I have to sharpen both the splitting maul and the chainsaw. I had a great day today. I made the last 2 beams for the sunroom roof here. We're going to be putting those up tomorrow. And then I just got to get the roof panels, the plastic roof panels, and screw them in, and the roof is going to be done. So I think really 1 more month and this sunroom should be done. And I can't tell you how happy I am if I get it done, because the winters here are very harsh. So basically on the south side of the cabin, we're going to have this huge 12 by 24 greenhouse sunroom. That's just really going to be a big solar thermal oven. And during the day, I can open the door between the main cabin and the sunroom, and all of that solar heat energy is going to come into the cabin. I should be able to get away with half of the or less of the wood that we need to burn here to keep the place warm. Whereabout is your cabin? Brent asks. It's in Goldsboro, Pennsylvania, which is right near Mount Pocono in the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania. We're at the very highest elevation here. No, Pennsylvania, Brent. Yeah, and I didn't open the phone lines. We're going to do that tomorrow night. I'm going to have, if everybody would like to do a panel show, we're going to do a panel show tomorrow. Other people call that a dumpster fire show. I don't know. But tomorrow night, everybody's welcome to join the stream, and we're going to have open phone lines and no real subject. I just want to have a good time, drink some beers with my friends. You know, it's pandemic time, and they're talking about new lockdowns. But honestly, I've been locked down since March. I've not gone anywhere but the cabin and Lowe's or Home Depot. That's it. So it's nice to have those panel shows, sort of socialize, get to know some of the viewers, the listeners. We're definitely going to do that tomorrow night. Oh, Brent, you're from PA. Yeah, that's probably why we're on friends list. That, or you know me from one of my, you could be a musician or a magician or a computer person. I've got a lot of weird, I've got this weird eclectic list of friends on Facebook from different subcultures, and they all come together for me. So, yeah. What time? Genocide. I guess 8 p.m. That's what I'm shooting for. No, 7 p.m. I'm shooting for 7 p.m. tomorrow night because it gets dark here around 5:30. So that'll give me a little time to get something to eat and set everything up again. And Steve Ronan says he loves those type of shows. Yeah, I do too, because there's no stress, or I don't have to worry about a presentation. I don't have to worry about, guests. I have 10. We can have up to 10 guests here at once. So, oh, thanks, Brent. I appreciate that. It's good that you are commenting in the live chat. You're welcome to come to the YouTube live chat next time so that you can sort of interact with the rest of the audience here. Yeah, so friends, we're gonna wrap things up here. I want to thank each and every one of you, especially RH, who a few days ago donated $40 to the cause. You are most definitely appreciated. So we're going to wrap things up here. I will be back tomorrow night, hopefully at 7 p.m. or thereabouts. And we will do a panel show, open forum, open lines, anything goes. It should get pretty crazy. So, folks, until next time, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Remember, it's Truth Seekers, which means it's us as a group learning the truth about some of these strange fringe topics. I'm so happy that you were here with me. This Joseph Newman story is one of my favorite stories. It's just, he's an interesting character. I'm glad that I could share it with you all, especially those of you who may not have heard of him. That Newman documentary is definitely worth a watch. Please do watch it. It's free, won't cost you anything. So friends, until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion, live from the Apocalypse Cabin. Good night, and God bless all of you.